Hello Nitro fans, Racing 393, and in today's video we're going to be looking back on my Traxxas Nitro 4Tech. Those that have been watching the channel, and I've had a few really positive comments from various people that view my videos, so thank you very much for that, it's much appreciated. If you look back through my videos, you'll notice that there's a video previously which was going over a sort of modified motor. It's exactly the same as that one, yet we tried a little bit of modifications inside, and we painted the head and the sort of the cooling part of it slightly different colours, just to denote that that is a different engine for my own purpose, really. So that hasn't been installed just yet because I want to try this car out again properly with a speed meter and get some proper running of it again, and then just putting the other motor in to see whether or not it does make a difference. Now, the next thing, another upgrade I'd like to do, you'll see there in front of you, there's a slightly different shock absorber on the front. So I've put that one on. These are not Traxxas, or are they? They think they might be Traxxas shocks or copies of. But I put this, they're aluminium, they're slightly shorter, hence I had to put like a standoff extension on the bottom there, which you might not be able to see from this angle, but there you'll see it down the bottom. And it does make the car a little bit stiffer on the suspension. I'll be honest with you, I think it may lower it a little bit. I don't know. The standard shocks, although they're pretty good for the front, they're not bad because the angle's decent enough. I think I put these on the standard. I can move these. I can actually move these a little bit more, but the standard shocks, although they work, they are. I mean, the fronts do work pretty well, I have to say. If I show you this one, it is stiffer. I'm not sure whether the backs, these shock absorbers for the back will fit. I don't know. But the back ones inherently, they're a little bit too stiff. So we're going to change them for the different shocks that I bought. I say too stiff. It's a bit of a contradiction because the front shock there is a bit stiffer. But then again, it's the angle. I'm looking at that angle, and I'm not sure I can change much on the angle of the back. The standoff, like the shock tower at the top, doesn't seem to have any other movement. You want to lay those in. So there's a possibility that the standoffs will be fitted at the top, so I can lay the shocks in, and they'll still go at the bottom. They'll fit a bit lower down, but laying in. I think that might be a good plan. If we get them laying in a bit more, because see they're laying in a bit, but you need them in a little bit more to get the softness. It does bounce around on the back when I was using this. I'm just trying to eliminate the unnecessary jumping, and it's on pretty much flattish tarmac. So it definitely wouldn't work properly off-road, not with these shocks. So anyway, let me just get the shocks out so you can have a close-up look of one of these, and then we'll go from there. So here's like the two shocks. So that's the standard one, as you can see, and that's the one that I'm going to put on. It's quite a lot different actually. It's not until you put them side by side. If I stand them up, if I can, it's a lot different. So you've got to try and accommodate that on the car. Otherwise, if you put those on just straight on, it's too low. The wishbones are sort of pointing upwards, like above the horizon. So as far as the stiffness, and that is fairly stiff, but because of the angle, it makes it a lot softer. These, if anything, are very slightly soft, if anything. So yeah, so I've got you can look at the top standoff. I've got like a couple of, that's the one, the new one. The spacing is a bit Heath Robinson, got to just use what I've got. To try and keep the shocks at least, you know, upright, as in so they're not leaning back or forth to the car. So you can probably make out where it's got to go there, because that's the bottom of the bottom wishbone, and that's the shock tower. So we're going to place it down there. Yeah, right, I'm just going to take that one off and then I'll be back. And there you have it. I've got the other side on. They do fit well. The car is a bit low now. So it shouldn't really be used, ironically, being a rally car. Goes against the grain, as in off-road. Doesn't have the suspension travel. It is reasonably low, but I think they could be stiffened up. I can lower these platforms a little bit, which I'll probably do. But it is sitting a lot lower at the front and the rear now. I haven't got a spare space for a bit of flat surface, but the front is significantly lower than the back. So now what I'm going to do is going to attempt to Heath Robinson something on the back here. My plan will probably be, I want to try and tilt the top of these shocks in, leave the original fixing point at the bottom, but then I've got these here. Get that away there. So these are for crawlers, and they're aluminium. They're just some sort of random shock standoff. So I just used them just to sort of reposition where the shocks go. There's many fixing points on here, which is good. So yeah, it's not made for this. I think it is for, I don't know, do Traxxas do crawlers? It's suitable for Traxxas. I don't think, it's not a Traxxas part. So I'm going to take this shock off and attempt to somehow fit this onto sort of the top part. You can't see that right now. The top part of the shock tower somewhere. Right, let's see what I can come up with. If I sound a little bit subdued, I don't feel 100% today. I don't know why. I just feel a bit anyway, that's my issue. Let me crack on. So I fitted it for now. It sort of poses another issue which I overlooked. Which is why maybe the standoff went at the bottom on the front a lot easier, because I can use the bottom wishbone as a bit of a brace. This is just pivoting in midair, so any pressure on the shock absorber twists this. Now it can be, if you could find a way of fixing it properly, I might have to make a little bracket that goes across to that bit there. I don't know, because it's going to flex. I don't want any flex in it. I might have to rethink this, but for now, to get the bits on the car, I'm going to sort of stick with it. This bracket, this standoff on the front of the car is on the bottom, so it kind of locks itself against the wishbone. There's no real other reason other than I might try the other side, just fitting the bottom, you know, the standoff here, so something like that. If I fit it to the bottom wishbone, see what I can come up with, see how different it is, and go from there really. So I've got, you know, if it works, I just change this over. It'll save any problems. But it is more canted in, which is what I wanted. I'm just trying to think of something else. Weather, because it's spaced the same. This wishbone, this shock absorber is spaced the same as the standard one, away from the shock tower. So there's no reason why I couldn't bolt this one to the top with two. That'll stop it moving, which is what I'm going to probably have to do. At least I've got some options anyway, so I'm going to crack on with the other side. If you're wondering, these came from like eBay's special Chinese knockoff company, is it? I don't know. I don't even know what it's called, but there, they've got the Tamiya logo. Proof I'm not meant to have that, but we all know it's around. We all know what we're getting ourselves into. So yeah, I'm going to fit the other side slightly different and show you my results. So after a little bit of to-ing and fro-ing, I seem to have got a solution. It's not perfect, but for now the shocks are on. The backs are still very slightly a bit too high. Can adjust perhaps where this sort of standoff goes there. There's another hole. I might be able to raise it up there a little bit. There's one on the other side as well. But they are on, so they are canted over a bit, not as much as the front. But they look alright. They're a bit... I've lowered the platform, raised the platforms. Or lowered? Raised the platforms up the shock to kind of try to lower the sort of suspension a little bit. It hasn't... It could do being a bit lower, if I'm honest. But yeah, so these are on. I mounted the standoff, one of them in the original fixing points, and then there's another hole there because it pivots. So I just drilled apart the shock tower just to put a screw through that holds it in place. It seems to have worked pretty well, I have to say. I'll try and show you the... I mean, they are a little bit stiff still. I suppose there is a chance that I could change and put the original front springs on the back. That might be an option to lower it down a little bit. I don't have to use these springs. The reason the fronts work pretty well is because they're canted over. You can probably see that there. So the more canted over they are, the softer the spring is. So you can run a more stiffer spring when they're canted over. These could do being canted over a little bit more, I guess, on the rears, you can see. But, you know, I'm pretty much fixed with what I've got, if I'm honest. I'm going to put the shell on and show you what it looks like. So there's the car sort of just sitting on a flat surface. It is slightly a bit high at the back, as expected. It's probably a little bit too stiff. The front is fine. The back, I mean, I could change the oil, I could put different springs on. I think I'll do that off camera and do a little video short of when I've done that. But at least the shocks fit. So, I like other things. I've got loads to do. We've got to give it a run with this configuration, this motor, this engine. I keep calling them engines and motors. It's still a motor, isn't it? Unless you class a motor as an electric motor. You know, we in the UK we say, what motor's in it? You know, we call that, it's a bit of a slang word for engine, so that's why we say it. But we give it a run with this engine. I'll adjust the shocks accordingly, and so it sits a bit flatter, and then we'll put, which isn't a small job, but then we'll put the other motor in there, the other engine. We'll get it fired up, and then we'll take that one out, hopefully if it runs. Get that one taken out and see if it goes any quicker. Yeah. So, well, that's it. I mean, that is going to be the end of the video. I mean, the stance doesn't look too bad. It is a fraction high. Let's see what I can do about that. It could be a simple thing like, I don't think the shock oil is going to make a lot of difference. I think it's if you put those black springs on, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because I like the purple ones, but they're a little bit too stiff for the back. And I can't really change the angle of the shocks much further than what I've got. So anyway, that's the back. That's the front. We've got to try and get the back down a little bit. It's going to squat when you sort of accelerate anyway, isn't it? So, don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll just try the simple thing of the springs. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Sorry that I didn't sound too enthusiastic. I am. It's just I feel a little bit bleh. And I've been absolutely flat out with the shed. Well, I say the shed. It's not the shed. Not yet. Base is all done. 2 bases, and the rear fence has been replaced. So it's a brand new rear fence because the one on there was broken, or the wooden post was rotten. The reason it's not level, as it were, is the ground does slope up. There's not much you can do about that. Can't dig down any further. But it is done, and the bases are done. I'm going to paint them, so just to sort of preserve them. Preserve the wood, and then we've got a shed there to put up, the sort of the darker coloured brown. The other one's my shed. Was going to be a hobby shed, but there's shitloads wrong with that, so I'm not going to go into that at the moment. But yeah, so I've been breaking my back with that, and so has my other half. We've been flat out. We get time just to do this, so I appreciate you watching. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? We will get this out running soon, and like I say, the weather's a bit hit and miss, and busy with work, etc. Got another project here, Acme Condor, another motor, another pinion. This got to be stripped and cleaned. This was part of the 3 that I did on a video to see if anybody wanted, you know, which one they wanted to be done first. Nobody voted as expected, so I'll probably choose. Don't know. Maybe this one. We'll see. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.